Today we're going to fix the tilt cylinder on my Bobcat 530. Now the symptoms on this is when it's parked, I end up with a little puddle of hydraulic oil underneath it. And if I leave it sit for an extended period of time, it tips out very slowly. So it should be an easy fix. Let's get at it. Alright, for starters I'm going to pick the arms up a little bit and I'm going to drop this plate. I'm going to keep this as simple as possible. So the cylinder tube, I'm going to leave that connected up there. I shouldn't have to take that out, and that means I don't have to remove these hydraulic hoses either. So what I'll do is start by pulling this bolt out of here. Then I can drive that pin out and free this piston up. Okay, now I'm going to retract this cylinder all the way up, or as far up as I can safely go, just to push a bunch of that oil back up into the reservoir so there'll be less spillage when I get this thing open. Okay, this wrench right here, I've had it for a while. I didn't really know what it was for, but my brother-in-law was getting rid of a bunch of tools. And when I saw this, I thought, I'm going to grab that. Someday I might need it. Well, as it turns out, this is a spanner, and it's used for many things. Among them is removing this piece right here. And I've already tested it, so I know it works. And this is surprisingly not on super tight. There we go. So this should spin right out without a whole lot of trouble. lesson one, I should have thought about this. Part of the reason that it didn't just spin off fairly easy is that these hydraulic lines are designed to hold that in place, and so without releasing at least one of these hydraulic lines, it's going to hang in there and not come out. So I think I'm going to have to loosen these up. Alright, so here's everything that we took out. We're going to be replacing pretty much all of the rubber parts here, the outside and then inside of this item. I think they call this the gland. The piston looks really good. I don't see any scoring. It's in nice shape. So I just need to get this nut off the end and start tearing this apart. Now this is the pin that came out of it, and it's hard to tell. It's worn, but it's really not bad. There's a lot of play in it, so I'm thinking that it's actually maybe a bushing back on the plate that needs attention. So I'll take a quick look at that. Probably, unless it's real easy to get my hands on, I won't do anything with that, because I don't really use this thing as much as the guys that use them for construction. But we'll take a look anyway and just see. All right, let's take a quick look at these parts. This nut is, let's see, 1.11". And this one really fought. You could see the impact wrench was basically just hammering on this most of the way out. The threads look good on here. Nothing's bunged up. That's what I was worried about as it was coming off. But everything looks clean, and I think this must have had a lot of thread locker put on it to hang up that bad coming out. But as you can see, spins back on, no trouble. So threads are in good shape. This guy, this end piece, I believe there's supposed to be an O-ring down in there, and as I pulled that off, that O-ring just sort of shredded on its way back out. So I'll have to think about that as I put it back together to make sure that I don't damage the O-ring while I'm putting it back in. And now this piece, it's got a whole bunch of parts on it. I've got an O-ring there. I've got all the parts to replace, by the way. We've got the seal down on the inside. That's going to be replaced. But this outer seal, you see a piece just dropped off of there. This outer seal is just crunchy. I'm sure this is what was leaking. Oh, another piece just came off as I was looking at it here. So we'll put all new seals in all of this and get it back together. So I've laid out everything in order from bottom to top. And now what I'm going to do is match up my new seal kit. Those two will go there. And then there's one more piece. This little O-ring here goes down inside of that. Got this. And we got 3 more O-rings. It's not that one. Okay, that's the one. This is too small. That's everything that came out of this. I'm not entirely sure why I have 2 more of these, but I'm assuming what they'll do is maybe have one kit that covers a variety of different cylinders. So we'll set those aside and see where we're at when we're done. So let's pull this thing out of the hot water and try something here. It's a lot softer that way. I think I'm gonna try holding it together with a zip tie, at least this direction, until I can get it started. Okay. Now we can turn it this way and see if we can get it together. I think we're in far enough to release that zip tie. Okay. See if we can get it the rest of the way in there now. Here we go. Looks good. Not crazy about this as far as this being kind of deformed around here. I did notice that these edges right here and here had been pushed down a little bit. So I think I need to just work this a little more to get it seated completely, and then I think it'll be fine. Okay, I worked it in a little more. I used a pretty blunt screwdriver on the inside just to push it in a little bit. It's not perfect, but this should conform to the piston when it goes in. We'll see. Okay, we'll put a little bit of oil on here first, just to make sure this slides on and doesn't get hung up. That'll be good. Just make sure we get it on the right direction. There we go. Almost forgot to put this O-ring in here. There we go. I think I'll spin it on. There's less chance of tearing that O-ring if I let it ride the threads. Okay, it does not want to go much further. This might be a mistake, but I think I'm going to gently try to help it along with the nut. Hopefully I won't tear that O-ring. Okay, it feels like we're past that now. All right, that worked, and I can move it back and forth. It feels good, so I'm hoping that that O-ring stayed in place there and didn't roll, but I think it's good. Now I'm going to use the new nut that was supplied with this kit. Going to torque it down to 100 foot-pounds. There we go. That's it. It's ready to reinstall. One quick observation on an earlier comment. This is the outer, I'm calling it a seal, that was real brittle and broken up, and I said I thought this was the source of the problem. I don't think that's possible. This isn't really meant to contain oil. This is meant to keep dirt out. And so it's the piece down inside there that is the seal for the hydraulic fluid. One other thing is getting this one on. Now everything looks real good now that it's tight up against that piston. So I think that is going to work great. All right, let's get this loaded in. Let's start with getting some oil on there. Hopefully I can get this fed in nice and clean. Go. So I got the repair done. Now I just need to replace that hydraulic fluid. I'm down just a little bit. There, that's good. So that cylinder is all rebuilt now, all new seals. Cost me less than $30 for the parts shipped. I got them through allskidsteers.com for this particular model, and it looks like it was the right kit. This has been sitting for quite a while now, and it's still holding position. I don't see any drips, so I would call this a success. Well, that was an easy repair. I spent less than $30 for all the parts, and really it was just a seal kit from allskidsteers.com, and I was able to rebuild that. Now this is the first one I've ever rebuilt, and as you can see, it was pretty simple. It's just a matter of taking your time and paying attention to how things come apart so you can get them back together. So my advice is, instead of taking something in and spending a lot of money having someone else do the work, jump in and do it yourself. It's not that difficult. We'll catch you guys next time.